All right, welcome. This is episode 3 of the Lost Arkuments podcast. Today is April 18th, 2022. My name is Cyrus, and once again, I am joined here by my co-host, Kioma. Kioma, how you doing, man? How's the last 2 weeks been treating you?
I've been doing pretty good. I think last we spoke, I finally was able to get to 1400, and then I think we both did it around the same time,
Yeah,
and we got our P3 clears, so which is cool.
we did. We both had something fairly exciting for the two of us happen since the last 2 weeks as far as our characters go. And that is that we both hit plus 17 upgrades on our weapons. And we both hit that plus 17 upgrade really early. I
I
think
was
you said,
lucky.
yeah, you said you hit it in like 2 taps, and I actually one tapped my plus 17 upgrade. That was a pretty exciting day and
I
exciting
mean, the
for
plus
me.
16 took me like 85% artisan energy though,
Oh,
so I
that's
mean,
brutal,
so it kind
man.
of,
That's brutal. I think
it
I
giveth
hit
and it taketh.
I think I hit my plus 16 at 45% artisan, so it took me a few tries, and then yeah, I one tapped it. I full soldered it. I had all the solars on it, but yeah, one tapped that thing. That was pretty exciting, and it was exciting because that hit me at or that upgrade put me to 1415 gear score. So pretty exciting. I feel like, oh yeah, I'm ready for Vaulting now. I'm ready to go. I'm gonna start working on some alts and maybe leveling them up too, or push for 1445 and try and do hard mode vault-in. I mean, I have some options now, but pretty exciting. We hit those pretty big weapon upgrades, which is pretty cool. So that's good. Overall, kind of how's your Lost Ark playing been going the last 2 weeks? You've cleared Argos both weeks since we last talked. I'm assuming I have
Yep.
as well. Have you been playing any alts at all? Have you been playing your main at all? I know you've been taking breaks for like Final Fantasy 14 because that just got new
Yeah.
raids and stuff, new content.
New content. Yeah.
So how's Lost Ark been treating you for the last 2 weeks?
It's pretty good. I still log in daily. But I did take a little bit of a mini rage quit for like a couple days after I had to pity or I think it was like 85% on the weapon. I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm done for now.
yeah.
Um, and then I came back and I finally did it, but it's been pretty good. My paladin is almost 1340, and I
Hey,
just got 600 on my Sork.
nice,
So,
nice. Okay, okay,
so
yeah.
yeah,
We'll talk about Sork a little bit later, and Deathblade, which I suggested to you a little bit later. And there's maybe a reason why you don't want to pick up Surge Deathblade now, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Yeah, myself, I've been playing. I basically stopped. I have a couple alts in T3 that I kind of left at 1340 because I don't really feel like it's worth pushing unless you're going to push all the way to 1370. And I've just been trying to get my main to 1415, like I was saying, which just happened like a day or two ago. So now I'm kind of just like, well, should I sell mats and try and make some money? Should I try and level up one of the alts to 1370? Should I just dump everything into my main and push for 1445? So I'm still kind of like trying to figure out what I'm doing, but I've been doing the raids. Areha and Argos are both like super easy
yeah.
farm now. So definitely excited for some new content, which leads me into kind of the first thing that I wanted to talk about today. And that is the roadmap that came out. So obviously we have the patch coming up this week, super exciting. They're adding Glavier, they're adding the South Vern continent. um
Yes.
but I confess I wasn't super pleased with the way they released the roadmap. And they gave us, we have sort of a tentative April patch, a tentative May patch, and like a maybe things will happen in May. And I wasn't happy with that. I feel like a game that has been out for 2 months should
Yeah.
have a very long, fairly well defined roadmap where we're not trying to like throw things together last minute and maybe things will be in this patch and maybe they won't. I mean, I was really expecting a solid roadmap with like with some pretty complete patch notes and some dates on there. What did you think? I mean, were you happy with that roadmap that got posted, or were you not very pleased with it either?
To be fair, they are responding to the criticism of
Of
so
Argos.
they've been
Okay.
of Arago. So I think that's made pretty much pushed everything a little bit back for them. So I give them some leeway there. But yeah, the patch notes and it should be more defined. What's happening? What's exactly happening? Why they're doing it? Stuff like that. And the exact dates would be nice. I mean, it doesn't even have to be the raid stuff, just like quality of life stuff, skins, stuff like that.
Yeah, that was another problem that I had with it was that the the roadmap just basically said and other quality of life stuff. And I was like,
Yeah.
well, what quality of life? Like that's so important, you know? Why aren't they saying like these things are coming? These skins are coming, and then you don't have to spoil the whole thing there,
Yep.
but like I felt like some intern threw that together in like one afternoon to just
Internship.
make people happy and spit it out. And I was like, wow, people have been waiting for this roadmap for 2 to 3 to 4 weeks. And this kind of stinks. And it goes back to sort of the communication thing that we've been talking about with Amazon and Smilegate. It's like you got to earn that trust with the
Hmm.
player base. You can't just assume that it's going to be there. And honestly, it's still leaving some to be desired for me. I don't feel like I still don't understand why I'm not getting videos. We talked about that a little last time. Why isn't somebody sitting in front of a camera talking about patches? Why isn't somebody talking about the roadmap on camera, or a couple people talking about the roadmap on camera? We get like one news article a week with a few maybes and generic dates, and that's all we're getting as far as communication goes. Am I crazy in thinking that we're not getting what we should be getting?
I come from Final Fantasy 14, which I love Yoshi P. Like he his patch he even reads the patch notes on the day of release.
That's
And
so
he does
cool.
stuff. It's so cool. He does the dates, they have a timeline, they say what's coming, why they doing it. I love that. But yeah, if Lost Ark, Amazon, I don't know if Amazon or Smilegate, whoever puts it on, maybe have a collab or something, but something like that, I think the players would appreciate it. Live stream maybe, not just a video.
Yeah.
A live stream would be very, very, I think, helpful for their relationship with us, like
Yeah,
their persona.
I like that the idea of a live stream too over just a video, because you feel like you're interacting with them. Like they could
Yes.
answer questions like live and get reactions from people in real time. I agree. I think that's a fantastic idea. I'd love to see it. I don't know that we
Um,
will see it, but
like I don't know anyone over at. I don't even know who's the head of our of the Amazon division of the NA version.
yeah,
I don't even know. I don't know any of them.
I agree. There's
I've
like
never
no
heard their
names, there's
names.
no
Nope.
faces. I completely agree. I think it's a huge problem. And it's the communication is going to get into kind of the next thing that I wanted to talk about, and anybody who's listened for the first 2 weeks is going to have to listen to me say it again, because I'm going to bring it up every single time until somebody starts talking about it. And that is, we eventually have to get caught up to the Korean version, or the game will not be successful in the long run. And here's what I think is going to happen actually in the relatively short term. More and more of the player base is getting caught up to the current, basically, ceiling in the game right now. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
more and more
Well, I'm.
people are hitting, Argos P1, P2, P3. People are getting to 1400 plus gear score. Everyone is going to have played all of the content available, as we continue further here, especially if they're talking about slowing down releasing content. Well, what does that mean? It means more of the player base reaches the ceiling. Well, what happens when you reach the ceiling of a game? Well, there's another version of the game that's out there that has newer stuff. More and more people are tunnel visioned on their version, which makes sense because there's tons to do. But once you reach the ceiling and have done all of it, the first thing that you're going to do is go, okay, well, what else is out there and what's available and what's coming? And I think as more and more people see the Korean version of the game and all the cool things that are going on there, including all the class balancing, which we'll talk about later, but they see new classes, they see new raids, they see all this content, and you can't help but think, when am I getting this, and why do I have to wait so long to get it? I think as more and more of the player base reaches sort of, all of the content that's there, I think it's going to be more and more important for Smilegate and Amazon to communicate a long-term plan to get us caught up. And yes, there will be concessions that have to be made with the Korean version, possibly, and development cycles, possibly, to maintain two different versions of the game or maintain, a version across different regions. But I think it's important, man, especially like I said before, when you look at the rating races of World of Warcraft and of Final Fantasy 11 or 14, and you have basically the whole world competing for these raid firsts. I just can't help but think we're going to want to be a part of that at some point. I think, especially as more and more players get towards the top end of the content.
Yeah, that's important. World firsts are like a big draw in for people. People love their region representing. It's just how it is. Um, I was gonna say something. Do you know how other Korean MMOs have worked in the past? Have they ever caught up to their Korean version with the release in the West? I don't think I've ever seen one that caught up completely. So I don't know if that's a thing that's gonna happen.
Yeah, I don't know, but I kind of feel like this game is so big that that if they wanted to, they could. That's basically the way I'm looking at it. Even if it hasn't happened before, this game is making so much money. There are so many players of this game right now that you have a chance to do things differently and to correct maybe where some games in the past have made mistakes or haven't had the ability to do something like this. I think you can. And I understand that it's only a mobile game, but as I mentioned in episode 2, there is a mobile game called King of Fighters All Star that did just this. There were multiple versions of the game, and I think it was like the Japanese version and the global version were considerably behind the Korean version, and they finally just went, okay, we're going to get everybody completely caught up. And there were some growing pains. There were some characters that got skipped. There were some compressions of timelines that were tough on players. However, here's the important thing. At the end of it, after the growing pains, it is so much better now. Everyone's on an even playing field for all the versions. Everybody gets all the content at the same time. And what's really cool is that they were able to do some collaborations with Western IPs. They did like a WWE collaboration. And it's like, I don't think that kind of thing is going to be able to happen if they're not going to get us caught up. Like,
Yeah.
when would we get global first content? Like, I can't see that happening. I can't see them ever releasing a class here first. I can't ever see them releasing a raid here first. Like, we're never going to get that. We're never going to get anything that makes us feel special unless you merge the two basically timelines together, and then you can pull from one side and pull from the other side and do cool exclusive things on both regions.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like I said, I've said that last time. I said I would love to do it. I'm not sure how feasible it is for them right now,
Yeah.
especially since the game's so new. They do have, as for the slower release schedule, a lot of our guildmates literally just hit 1400. I
Yeah.
think a lot this week. So I
Not
think
even.
they're
Not even.
not even. I think
Yeah.
yeah. So I think maybe a few more weeks before everything, because Vaulton isn't even coming till like next month, maybe.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I guess they have their own internal data of what they want, of how many players are in our tier and stuff like that. So that's
Hmm.
why maybe they're delaying a little bit longer. I don't know, but I guess it gives people time to catch up, which is I think is okay. But they need to give us more to do. Not It doesn't have
I
to
agree.
necessarily have to be like the Vaulton raids earlier, but just more stuff to do in the game.
Yeah.
You get log in a daily, you do your dailies, and then what you do an island maybe, and then you're done.
Yeah. You basically do,
Uh,
if there's an adventure island that has gold, you definitely do that.
mhm.
And then you get to do, ghost ship once a week, and then you get to do field bosses and chaos gates. But yeah, other than that, it's basically like log in, do a couple things with your character, and then you're like, well, what am I supposed to do? I mean, you play alts. That's like what the game is designed for, is to play alts.
Yeah,
But, you
I've
know, y-
I've already spexed my opinion on alts.
yeah,
I'm
listen,
getting
and
there.
that's
I
fine.
just lose interest when I play alts. I'm like, oh,
Listen,
I don't want to do this
that's
again.
totally fine. It's not for everybody, but it's an MMO. You don't have to spend 12 hours a
Hmm.
day playing the game too. Especially, it's not necessarily a bad thing if you feel like you've reached the ceiling of the content, and then a game like Final Fantasy 14 releases something new, and you're like, oh, okay, cool. Well, now I have time to go play another game and don't feel like I'm missing out, right?
Yeah,
Especially with like
that's
the
great.
rest system too. You can take like a day or two off, and you're like, oh, okay, cool. I got some rest. I don't feel like I'm missing a ton.
But for a 2-month-old game, should that be the thing,
It's a good point.
right?
I
That
listen. I don't
I felt that
disagree.
way last month, right?
Yeah.
So I mean,
I Well, see, I have a totally different viewpoint. I think than 99% of the player base, and that is release everything. Everything. Yes, the whales will get there first. I don't care. I would rather have the whales beat me to the content if that means that there's more for me to progress through, right? Like, I would rather release 10 different raids and let me play through, a few of the raids at a slower pace and let the whales do all 10. I don't care, right? Like, that's part of the reason that I thought it was cool that they released Tier 3 when the game launched. It's like, why weren't people complaining, oh, the whales got through T1 and T2 faster than me? That's not fair. Pay to win. Blah, blah, blah. Oh my God, delay content.
Some did.
It's like, no. It's good that they released 3 tiers. It's like the whales will get there first. Okay, that's fine. But I have so much stuff to play. I have so much content to work my way through. I prefer that approach rather than the, hey, all of the free players need to be on an equal playing field from the whales, and everybody needs to go in hand holding to the content together. I just don't feel that way. I don't think it's as good for the game as putting out more content and having more for players to do.
I agree. Yeah.
Okay.
You're right.
I put another note here on this exact topic, and I was saying, like, I want to play the Korean version of the game now. I'll be honest. I do. It's like, if I want an English patch and somebody to send me like a Korean social security number so that I can log on and play the game. Like, it's super frustrating that I can't play the game.
I remember that.
Again, they're like, there's all this new content coming, and if they're going to delay that content, okay, well then let me go in and play that version of the game. Or why not spin up a Western server of, the Korean client, even if it's in Korean, and let us play that.
Can't you play the Russian version?
You can, but from my understanding, the Russian version is sort of dying. And with current geopolitical, climates being what they are,
you're correct.
I don't want to support the Russian version of the game. That is a good point. But yeah, it's like, let me get in there and let me play it. Now I'm frustrated in that, oh, I'm not Korean, so I don't even get to be allowed to play that version of the game. It's like, man, it starts to feel like we're second-rate citizens a little bit. And that's just me being like, I haven't heard a roadmap yet. It's just a little, I don't know. I want to get in and play the Korean version.
I don't think that's just limited to Lost Ark. I know you need Social Security to play like pretty much every game over there.
I think it's like every Korean game, yeah.
I think it's a law, so I don't think there's anything they can do about that. So, I mean, it's not their fault, right?
Yeah.
I think it's a law thing.
Yeah, I think you are right, but here's one of the good parts. Here's one of the good parts is they don't have nearly the botting issue that we do over here because accounts are tied to a Korean social security number. So it's like, if you want to get in there and bot, you're risking the one account that you can make legally. No one's going to do that. Like, nobody's going to try and bot if it means like they're going to lose the one account that they can make. And you can't just like spam bot and make 1,000 accounts and,
Are you suggesting we do that in the American version?
Funny that you should ask. I don't think that we should use the social security number. I think that's a little too insane. Plus, I don't really want Amazon. I already have everything. I have an Amazon credit card, so they already have my social security number technically. But like, I don't want to just be. I don't want to be giving my social out just for a video game like that. I think that's a little too heavy-handed. But I would like to see some sort of secondary authentication to get into the game, and I think it should be mandatory. Actually, I think you should have to use like a valid phone number, and not like a Google phone number, or like a Google Voice phone number, but like an actual phone number, and have that be tied to the account, because you're gonna just absolutely stamp out a huge amount of the botting just by making it so that you have to do some sort of actual validation to create an account, rather than just like, yeah, we can just spin up free Steam accounts whenever we want and make thousands and thousands and thousands of them.
But I think we did go over this a little bit. I don't think bots are right now in the current economy of the game are bad, because everything's just so expensive. It was so expensive. Now there's everything's a little bit cheaper now because of the bots, right?
Yeah, I mean,
and we kind of need that right now, because if it was more, I would just run out of gold so fast.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that, because I actually agree with you that gold is so hard to come by in the current version of the game because we don't have enough ways to make gold yet. That it's funny. There is sort of like there is sort of a silver lining to the bot problem, and it is that they're injecting more gold into the game, and that's actually not the worst thing in the entire world for where we're at. Especially as you get to some of the high honing, uh, some
Mm-hmm.
of the high honing costs towards 1400 and above, where I mean
And
it's
it's like 500
it's
gold
like
per attempt.
500 gold per attempt. Plus
Just
you
the home, not
need
even the mats, not just the mats. Just the,
exactly all the mats, and then the silver costs are insane once you get that high too. Yeah, no, it's brutal, and it's you just don't feel like you have enough gold to like do anything else either, like prep for Vaulton or like get legendary engravings or anything like that. So
I can't.
yeah,
Yeah, I can't reroll for stuff.
yes, exactly. Can't even reroll. So yeah, there is a little silver lining in the botting thing, and it's like injecting a little bit of gold into the game right now is not exactly the worst thing in the entire world.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I want to switch gears just a little bit here and say that Amazon, along with G4 TV, put together a PvP tournament for Lost Ark. I'm sure people listening to this, a lot of people tuned in to watch it. And I got to tell you, I was really impressed with G4 TV's presentation. I mean, and Amazon's presentation to the game. I was super happy with the two commentators, Cannon and Captain Flowers. Now I know Captain Flowers comes from League of Legends, and he's considered best of the best commentators, and no doubt as soon as he dips his toes into Lost Ark, I mean he did great. He just did an excellent job, and so smart of them to have Cannon sitting next to him, because Cannon has that crazy amount of game knowledge, especially in the PvP realm, that you put the two of those guys together, and it was like, man, it sounded like they've been casting together for years, and this is like the first time that they'd even met, I guess. And I thought it was great, man. Did you get a chance to catch
I
any of that tournament, or what?
I I did not even know it was a thing,
Okay.
until someone mentioned it in Discord.
Yeah.
They don't really advertise it in game or anything like that. So that's one thing I would recommend because I
Funny you
didn't even
mentioned
know
that. I thought the exact same thing. I said, why aren't they advertising this in game? I said that was my first thought as well.
If and you said it was produced by Amazon, right? Like side help co-produced by Amazon, you said?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they should advertise it because I didn't know it was a thing until someone said they had watched it. I'm like, wait, what? There was a tournament?
Yeah, I totally agree.
Was it the 3v3 format, team deathmatch?
Yeah, 3v3 team deathmatch, and the content creator Saint One or Saint Tone. I actually don't know what
I
name he
don't.
goes by now. It's like all like a meme in his chat and stuff. But he actually wound up winning. His team won the whole thing, and I kind of think that it's good for the PvP community, actually, to have somebody who's like one of the big content creators win the whole thing, because it's kind of fun, and it kind of brings more eyes to it, I think, than necessarily
Yeah.
would have been otherwise. So
Mhm.
it was good, man. Casting was good, presentation was good, the games were fun to watch. I think probably
How
more
many?
people tried PvP as a result of it, because they showed that it's actually pretty fun.
Mhm. How many teams entered? Do you know, or
Oh
was
man,
it like an invitational?
I don't remember. It was an invitational, but I don't
Okay.
remember exactly how many teams. I actually didn't get a chance to watch the whole thing. I was kind of coming in and out of it, but I got to see some of it, and like I said, what I saw I thought was great. And honestly, it makes me excited for more tournaments in the future too, because it's like the kind of thing where you get a little bit of it, and you're like, oh, this is actually really cool. This is really fun to watch. If they can bring back the same like presentation and the same commentators, I would totally watch more PvP tournaments. Like, it's not
I would
something
say
I
I
would have been interested in, but now that I saw one, I'm like, yeah, I'm in. Let's do it, man.
As you know, I am very big fan of PvP.
Yeah.
I like the PvP and War Division, and I love fighting games in general. So
Yeah,
I love
same.
to watch that. I much prefer the 1v1, but I guess if they're only doing team deathmatch, that's fine because I think it's balanced around team deathmatch, right? Not
Yeah.
like so that makes sense. But I prefer the 1v1s, but it'll never happen. But
What's your
yeah,
all-time favorite fighting game, real quick?
Street Fighter. Which one?
Three. Third Strike. Come on.
I think it might be Third Strike because
Third
the
Strike's
parries are
so
just
good.
so hype.
Dude, they're
Parries
so
are just
hype.
so hype.
Evo Moment 37, baby.
Oh,
Woo!
Daigo. I love
Woohoo!
Daigo.
The beast
The
is
same like
unleashed.
we like people love it when Daigo wins a tournament because he's
Yeah.
just like an OG. It's
Yeah.
just fun to watch him win.
I mean,
So I think that's
Justin
the same
Wong too. He's OG as well. Everybody loves
with
Justin Wong too, man.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I love
just
Third Strike. My favorite fighting game of all time is by far Capcom vs SNK 2.
Oh yeah, CS2,
My
CS2.
God, dude, because I love SNK. So the fact that they put those two games together, the first one was good, and then the second one, oh my God, it's the
I
best. It's the best
I
fighting game ever.
I think my favorite fighting game, not to play, but to like to watch, might be Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
just so fun to
Oh,
watch.
mine's Marvel vs. Capcom 2, actually. I like watching 2 even more than 3.
I I like 2. I think 3 got more hype, and then there's a lot of cheap stuff in 2 that I don't like. Not that there's
Dude,
not
there's
that
a
then
lot of cheap
3.
stuff in 3.
I mean, there's a lot of cheap stuff in 3.
I think
Infinites and unblockables, but I think it's more visually appealing. I think.
I think the only reason I don't really like 3 as much, actually by a lot, is X Factor. I think X Factor is stupid. I don't think it should be in the game. I think it's dumb.
It's comeback
That's
factor.
just
It's a
I
thing.
know. I know. I just think it's dumb. It's dumb. All right.
Some characters with X Factor 3 is dumb.
All right.
Yes.
We went
Phoenix,
on our little
Phoenix
fighting game
Virgil. Yeah.
tangent, but
Phoenix
yeah,
Virgil.
yeah,
I'm gonna go with
yeah.
that.
Yeah, Phoenix is so busted in that game. Also is Virgil. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. The next thing I wanted to talk about here, change gears a little bit again from the PvP stuff, is there was some news. Actually, I don't even know if it was news. It was more a leak on a video that Amazon put out where they had someone talking about some build that they were working on, and people noticed that there was a little icon in the corner that said Lost Ark Battle Pass or whatever it was called, the
Oh yeah,
Lost
yeah, yeah. Okay.
the
Yes.
lost whatever. I can't remember exactly what the
I
text was,
heard
but it's basically
Asmongold talking about this mostly.
yeah,
That's how I
yeah.
first heard about it.
It's basically a battle pass like any other game. And my understanding is from like the Korean version and the Russian version, there are 3 tiers. So there is a free tier that everyone gets to play and everyone gets to level up through. And then there is a premium version where you can pay a little bit of money. You get a couple skins, maybe some extra materials. And then there is the super premium version, which is considerably more and has a few extra like skins and wallpaper. And the the global community collectively lost their minds when they saw this, and I was a little bit surprised, I confess. What are your
I mean,
thoughts on sort of battle passes in general, and then this tiered battle pass approach?
I'm okay with battle passes. I don't mind them. They're fine. It's just progress. The free one, if they include a free, if there's a free version, I always am sort. If there's no free version, then nah.
Totally agree.
But I don't mind. I mean, I'm a whale, so I don't care. I mean, I don't know if you can take my opinion too seriously, but um, I feel in general battle passes are generally super rewarding and super generous. So I think if for you get the bang for your buck if you decide to spend, and if it's free, you get free stuff, right? I think the problem, I think when I was Asmon, some people like Asmon and other people get upset about is that you can buy the level. I think that's what people are upset about. Like you
Yeah.
can buy, just skip the levels just by just buying it instead of just playing it.
Yeah.
I think that's what people upset about. Otherwise, I'm okay with battle passes because they're pretty almost always generous with it.
I
So I think it's
I
a
feel the
good
same
thing.
way. I feel the same way. Usually, if they err on the side of it being too generous, it's like, dude, it's free stuff for people. Like, what's not to like? And I'm
Right.
actually going to go against the grain a little bit here, against the global community, and say, I think it's great that there's a couple different versions of the battle pass. And the reason that I think that is,
Free to
it's
play game.
just more stuff into the game. It's like, imagine that there wasn't a super premium version. Imagine that there was a free version and a paid version, and then there was no extra skins and wallpapers, right? It's like, so you're just gonna not get those things. It's like, I don't mind if it means throwing extra stuff into the game, more opportunities to get cool stuff. I'm all about throwing as much into the game as possible. And if you don't want to buy it, just don't buy it. Like I don't see it as being a huge problem. It's like if you're super against the battle pass, then don't buy the battle pass. There's still a free one that's still going to give you extra stuff to use. It's like I don't really I
I
don't think that it's that
mhm.
big of a deal.
Okay. I think it's just the people are just against the cash shop thing, right?
Yeah.
And then that's why wouldn't we why can't we just earn these in game? That's what I think most people will say. I would say that's fine, but not in a free to play game. If it
Yeah.
was something you pay a subscription for, then yeah, you should probably be able to earn the reward in game because you're paying a subscription.
Yeah,
But
no,
this
I
is a
agree.
free to play game, so I mean, people pay for extra cosmetics all the time, so I think that makes sense.
I actually kind of don't mind battle passes if you look at it as sort of like a monthly fee. And again, you don't even have to get it. It's like it's an opt-in monthly fee. It's an opt-in way to sort of just support the developers, get a bunch of cool stuff. Also, it encourages people to play the game more. Like I said, if you don't like it, then don't buy the premium one. Just get the free one. I think battle passes are good. I get them in most games that I play, even if it's a free game. I'll still buy the battle pass because I
Yeah.
want to support the developers. Like I'm not
Yes.
against that at all. They should make some money, even on the players who don't want to spend a lot, and it's usually a good deal for the money, so people don't
Yeah.
feel like they're getting ripped off, and people feel like, hey, I can support the game and get a bunch of cool stuff, and I don't feel like I'm being ripped off. And yeah, I like them. I like battle passes.
Agree.
All right. Speaking of battle passes, that sort of takes me into my next question for you, which is, where are the skins? Where?
I we know they're in the game. People have data mined them out of
Yeah,
from our client. They're in the game. I don't know what their holdup is.
I don't
Uh,
understand what is going on here. There, a game like this, like the true end game is always fashion, right? Like I
yes,
played
yes.
Dungeon Fighter Online to death. Like I know that the eventual end game is going to be making your characters look really cool, and that means getting high upgraded weapons to get cool weapon glows and really cool skins.
Yep.
It kind of goes back to the same thing that we talked about at the beginning, which I brought up a few times, which is, doesn't it seem like this wasn't planned out super well from the beginning?
Yes.
Like leading up to launch, how has someone dropped the ball so much on something like skins to where we are not getting a regular, a regular like rotation of skins? Why aren't they like every week, like cycling them through or
Mhm.
introducing new seasonal packages, or like what is going on with the skins? Why don't we have more options?
I mean, you'd have to ask the developer, which you can't because they don't ever talk to us
Yeah, I mean,
directly.
no, that's a good point. Again, I don't think it's crazy for people to expect to be able to look different than other players and express themselves in an MMO. I mean, to be fair, it's one of the social aspects of an MMO, right? Like it's part of being in a social game is the appearance part of it. Like if you were to do something like Second Life, or like something like the metaverse, it's like creating your avatar and making your avatar either look like you or look like how you want it to look, or some silly thing that's really fun. Like
Hmm.
all those things put a huge emphasis on the cosmetic part of it, and having you be able to look like how you want to look. And
Hmm.
it's I think it's a huge misstep here for them, for this far into the game, for there to still have been one package. We have one package. We have one skin. It's the Omen skins.
Oh,
That
man.
is the only thing since launch that has been added into the game.
Yeah. I know you have moving 14 long, but I think it's one of the things the game was why it's so popular. There's
Yeah.
so much cosmetic options for your
Right.
character. You can pretty much do anything you want. You can do a chicken. It's hilarious. People chicken suits, frog suits, but you can make look badass as fuck, hot as fuck, anything you want for
Yeah.
that spectrum. So that's why people love it. You can
Yeah.
RP all stuff like that. So
I
that's
mean,
why I think that's why one of the reasons it's so popular.
yeah. I mean, I jumped into some of the Final Fantasy 14, the transmog stuff that you do in your
Mhm.
what's it called again? The not
Your
grimoire, the
armor,
armoire, the armoire. Yeah, like I dove into some of
armor.
that, and like it is wild how much you can customize your character, and
Yes.
like how many different like skins and colors and like all kinds of stuff you can do to your
You can
character.
actually dye your stuff, which I don't know what's I buy the dye every time, every game, every week in Lost Ark. I've not used it once because nothing's dyeable.
Yeah, nothing's dyeable, and we don't have anything to actually
Dye,
dye
yeah.
yet aside from like our animal costumes. And I'm like,
I don't wear those because I think they're stupid, but
why
I know people like them.
why is the only thing that we can do is dress up like a furry? I mean, I guess some people are probably into that, but I saw that and I was like, I can't roll my eyes far enough back into my head. It's just not my thing. The Makoko pet is cool though.
I like the pet.
So is the
This,
mount, the surfboard, the little hoverboard mount.
I mean, it's kind of boring. There's no like extra animations for them.
Yeah.
It's just a surfboard, which I think is fine,
Still
but
cool though.
they
Yeah,
could have done something more.
still cool. All right, we talked a little bit about it earlier too, but I, I have been playing recently, and I still continue to run into seemingly a large amount of bots. And while we did say there's a silver lining in that, it does inject some gold into the system. Um, Unfortunately, the negative side of it is it means people are still doing real money, RMT, real money trading.
Mhm.
And it's also just it's a bad look for the game. Like it's a bad look if you try and go back and do like your Ignia token for any of the first four continents. It's you just see nothing but bots running around, and like anytime you're in a town and you're trying to use one of the chat windows, it's just like it's absolutely spammed still with like gold buying sites and stuff. It's like, is there a way to fix this? Do you
Not
see
with
any way to fix it?
you said two-factor authentication.
Yeah.
I guess that's one way of doing it, but bots can get around that. No, I'm cybersecurity, so I don't know.
Do you know, are there a lot of problems with bots in I mean
Not
I'm
as
sure
much. Not
every
as
free to play game probably struggles with bots, but there's probably not really problems with bots in like World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy 14 because they're subscription services, right?
Yeah, there are free. Remember, there is a free to play trial, but there's not much you can farm. I don't know in that game. I don't know. I do see bots from time to time. Like very little now that I think about it. A lot of the player base uses bots though, so that's not a lot, but like some of the player base uses bots
Yeah.
that just farm gather for them, which is fine. I don't care that much. But that's one form of botting. I don't think there's actually like creating new accounts just to farm low level areas. I don't think that's a thing in Final Fantasy 4,
Hmm.
14.
I wonder if you could do some sort of like trial accounts or something like that where you just like somebody has to play for X amount of hours or somebody has to reach like a certain threshold on like level experience or content or something like that before you expose things like the auction house and things like money trading and things like that. I think they had talked a little bit about that, but I kind of would like to see them take that a little more seriously. And the other problem is like if you're injecting this gold into the economy and real money trading is what's still happening, it like continues to devalue the gold gain from actually playing the game.
But I'm not a counter. I don't know if it's a counter argument, but it's just that the in-game gold to to money ratio it's so skewed towards the company instead of than the one you can buy from the bots, right? I think that's why people do it.
Yeah.
Like 4 times cheaper.
Yeah, I know. I
Bot.
listen, I sympathize with that, but maybe it gets better if you get rid of the bots. Like maybe getting rid of the bots makes it so that I don't know.
Maybe if
I
the
don't know.
Royal Crystal exchange rate was better, because I think $100 buys you like maybe 5,000 or 6,000 of the Royal Crystals, and those then you have to trade those for blue crystals, and then you can trade that for gold. It's very hoop. You have to jump through a lot of hoops.
Yeah, the current real money price to gold is so crazy. Like when you think about it, like
Mm-hmm.
what does $100 get you right now? It's like I think $100 gets you
Like
like
11,000 maybe.
yeah, I was gonna say like 15,000 gold, something like that.
Yeah.
Like, dude,
Mhm.
that is
And you do all that in one upgrade attempt.
I know. Maybe in one upgrade attempt.
Maybe,
If
maybe.
you're buying a bunch of like great honor leap stones, no man, you're
Mhm.
screwed. You're screwed.
Yep.
All right.
Mark, let go,
So
please.
the current sort of biggest thing that's happening right now in Korea, and all of the content creators are currently kind of talking about it, and I definitely wanted to bring it up, especially because it's going to affect our version sooner
Maybe.
or later.
Maybe.
So
Maybe.
that is, for those who don't know, there is a current public test realm patch over in Korea that just got released. I think it was over the weekend. I think it was over the weekend.
Yeah, I think I saw it
And
over
it has massive class changes. And seeing as how the Korean version is sort of the preview version of the global version, it's
there.
definitely something that I think is worth talking about. The sort of the most important things, I guess you could say, so far on the PTR over there are that there were fairly significant nerfs to Mayhem Berserker, Igniter Sorceress, and Surge Deathblade, and in
Now,
that order. So
I didn't read the exact patch notes, but someone just say that they just made the Berserker green pot not heal to full anymore, which is I'm like, okay, they'll just use a blue. Who cares?
No, they also nerfed their damage. So
Damage. Okay, the damage.
Mayhem does, it's like 6% less damage, which I mean it's nothing
That's
to
fair.
scoff at. It's actually a decent nerf, is my understanding.
They're so strong right now, though. So I don't. I mean, if it puts them more in line with their classes, it's fine. I think.
Yeah,
But
see, that's my feeling too. I mean, obviously we only played the global version, but I mean, you can't throw a stone and not hit a Mayhem Berserker, an Igniter Sorceress, or a Surge Deathblade. I mean, it seems like it's the only 3 classes that anybody plays, really.
hmm
I personally think that the nerfs are probably warranted. If anytime in a game, if there is a statistical outlier for classes that are like significantly more powerful than other classes, you have to bring things in line, right? Like nerfs are just a part of games and a part of balancing games. I think the issue that a lot of the Korean players are having is Surge Deathblade is significantly harder to play, as is Igniter Sorceress, than the other 2 available builds, Remaining Energy and Reflux. And the question is starting to come up, like, if a build is a lot more difficult to play and a lot more technical to play, shouldn't it deal more damage? And what's the point in playing the other builds if the easier build to play does the same amount of damage?
It should do more damage, but it shouldn't be that much more damage.
Yeah.
Is what I go with. I know Black Mage in Final Fantasy 14 had that problem. It was a mechanically hard class to play back in the day, so they made it a little bit easier, but it still does okay damage, but it's not like that much over the other classes anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about WoW. I never played that one. They probably had something like that too. They had to nerf some classes down.
Of course, yeah.
I mean, just nerfs and buffs are just part of a live game service, right? It just happens.
It is.
You want it. You don't want everyone to play the same class, and people don't take other classes in the game because they're not strong enough.
Part of the thing that's tough though, and see, my first like gut reaction was like I've played a lot of video games and a lot of MMOs in my life, and like nerfs are just like a part of playing games, and balancing is important, and the balance is more important than players being maybe upset that their class got nerfed. But the problem with Lost Ark specifically is there is so much gold that gets put into a specific spec, right? Like you're talking legendary engravings, you're talking about all of your accessories, you're talking about maybe specific stats for specific builds, maybe it's a specialization build versus a crit swiftness build. So like there is a whole lot of effort that needs to go into gearing up for a specific spec. And if you're going to nerf one and buff one or whatever, it's not necessarily a trivial thing to just go, oh, well, I'm Surge right now. Well, I'll just hop over to Remaining Energy and I'll be fine. It's like there might be a huge investment that's going to go into switching specs. So,
I mean, the thing is, that's why I said you can nerf them, but don't nerf them too much. Is what
that's my feeling too. I do
think
they
make them stronger than the other class because they're harder to play.
Yeah,
but just not by that much compared So I think that's that way people don't have to switch. Because they would. Why would they switch to a weaker build?
That's my feeling too. I don't think that they should be equalized. Like I do think if you're gonna play a more difficult spec, it's a risk versus reward thing. I mean that's nature, right? If the risk is higher, the reward should be a little bit higher. And I think if you want to try and play, Surge Deathblade against, some of the hard mode or hell mode Legion raids, like you're going to have a tough time, man. Like bosses go invulnerable for X amount of time and hop off the screen. And if you're sitting there with your 20 stacks and you can't deliver your Surge, I mean, that's going to be a huge DPS drop off. And, the class shouldn't be gutted. Like, it should reward good play, and you should do a lot of damage for that.
Yeah.
Okay, so the other important notes really from that PTR is the new Destroyer class, new to the West. It comes out tentatively in May. It got a huge buff. So it was one of
Oh
the
yeah.
classes that really they reworked a significant amount of things in the class to where it even does different things. For example, Destroyer now has a taunt. So Gun
Mm.
Lancer has a taunt and Destroyer now has a taunt. And that's great for people who are excited about Destroyer, but it leaves us in a very awkward spot globally. And that is,
When
these
do we
aren't
get that?
changes that have been released yet. These are
Yeah.
public test realm changes in Korea. And how long is the public test realm going to be up? And when is
Hmm.
Destroyer getting released?
Yeah,
Does
and will we
that
get will we,
mean
will we get that destroyer, or
exactly?
do we
Will we
get the
get that
release?
Destroyer, or will we get a different one and then a week later get it changed? Or are they going to
Not.
push the balancing patch way back for us?
That's
Or
probably what's gonna happen. If I had to guess.
do they push Destroyer back? Because it was always
Hmm.
part of the May release. And do they say, well, because we're looking at so many changes for the class, we're going to push it back to June and wait until you get the changes such that you get the new and improved Destroyer. What do you think is the right way to go there?
That's a good question. Since we know they're getting a buff, I'd say push Destroyer back until they get into a good spot whenever they and then release it. Because no one likes playing under power classes at release. People just feels bad.
Right.
So I think they should delay Berserker or not Berserker, Destroyer
Destroyer.
until they get into a good spot. And apparently they're testing it. But I don't know if we're gonna get released Berserker, the Destroyer, because that's just how these games work. And then we'll eventually get that balance patch later on in the live game's life. I would like them to push it back and use the current build or whatever they're thinking of doing in the PTR.
Uh-huh.
But I don't know. I don't think they're gonna do that. That's my opinion. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I don't think they're gonna do that.
I think it's interesting that they seem to have switched the release order for classes, right? For the roadmap. Like Glavier is coming out this week, and that was originally not slated to be even one of the first couple of classes that got
Hmm.
released, according to the original roadmap that got pulled down and then revised. So I I think it would be interesting to switch Destroyer potentially with another class like Summoner or something like Reaper or Arcana, Arcanist. I don't remember what it's called, or Scouter. Maybe take one of the classes that isn't receiving as many changes and speed up the release to that, such that we can release that and then they don't have to do like a full rework of the class. But it's funny, we just talked about the roadmap being so muddy and being so all over the place. How crazy would it be if after the tumultuous roadmap rollout, then they go ahead and they're like, okay, well, just kidding, you're not getting Destroyer like you thought you were. We're giving you something else.
People would get upset.
I
People will
think
always get
so
upset.
too. I don't think you can push Destroyer back any further. You've already done it
Yeah.
once, and but it's almost like it's worse to release Destroyer and then a month later completely revamp the class. It's
I
like,
don't. That's why I said I don't think they're gonna do that. I don't think. I think they're gonna just wait until we get caught up to where we are in Korea, and then do the balance change.
yeah, okay. I think that's
That's
probably the best way to go as well. I don't know if that's going to be the way that they go, but I kind of agree with you. I think that's probably the best way to go about it. Okay, so other PTR changes. Um, I guess there was a misunderstanding. People thought that War Dancer got like a significant nerf, but then there were some like data scientist War Dancers on the Korean public test realm that switched around builds and found that they're about the same or even stronger than before. Shadowhunter, my main, got some more synergy in it. Artillerist got some changes that a lot of people aren't super happy about, and the list goes on. But one of the big one of the big lack of changes or changes that's maybe worth mentioning is I guess Soul Fist is in an absolute mess of a state right now. It was like one of the least performing classes in the entire game, and
I don't
they
think I've ever
nerfed it.
seen a Soul Fist in any of our dungeon runs or
It's got to
this.
be the least played class in global. It has to
I,
be.
I see War Dancers, I see Destroyers, I see Sorks.
Scrapper is pretty low too.
Yeah, I don't see any of those martial arts
Scrapper went to
classes.
the moon alongside Destroyer. Scrapper got huge buffs and
Shadow.
Destroyer got huge buffs. And I think that's great because I think Scrapper looks cool. I like that it got buffed. It makes me want to play one over here. But I've always liked the idea of Soul Fist, but my God, seeing it get nerfed like even more, like even less love, I'm just like, my God, the poor people who are maining Soul Fist must just be like,
Yeah, yeah. I'm thinking back to all like Argos friends and all those. I don't think I've ever seen a Soul
yeah,
Fist or a
I don't think I've seen a Soul Fist at all in the game
or a
since
Striker.
reaching 1370. I don't think I've seen a single one.
It's all Shadow Blade, Death Hunters, some gunslingers. I don't think I've seen
Just
any sharpshooters
sorceresses
either.
as far as the eye can see, man. It's just
I
like
don't, sharpshooter I rarely see too.
sharpshooter apparently, from my understanding, is it's one of like the higher DPS classes in the entire game, but people just don't think it looks cool, so they don't play it. Hey
Fair.
man,
That's fair.
we were talking about aesthetics earlier and how important they
Yeah.
are. So I mean, gotta have cool stuff. Overall, yeah, I think it's a good thing. I like balancing. I think it needs to happen. I think it's good. Um, I hope that we get it soon. And I think it's an opportunity if they do want to eventually catch us up to the Korean version. I think a low hanging fruit, an easy way to sort of guide us in that direction is to fairly quickly give us the PTR changes, the class balancing changes. What do you think about that?
That would be nice. I would like that. But
Yeah,
like I said, I don't know if that's a thing that's gonna happen.
fair enough. Fair enough. Hopefully we get them soon.
I think I'm just used to like developers just like sticking to their timelines of
Yeah,
going. Well, I guess because of games we play, but yeah.
fair enough. All right, the last thing I want to talk about today is what are you doing with your gold right now? And in sort of the
Oh,
lead up to the patch on Thursday and eventual patches with like new classes coming, Destroyer, and new raids coming up, Vulcan raids and stuff. Are you trying to plan? Are you trying to like save up money right now, or are you trying to just hone as much as possible and not really save, or are you trying to do things like legendary engravings and accessories and trying to get like all stacked up and ready for Vulcan? Like, what's the right play right now? Should people be spending or saving, do you think?
I'm at 1408 or something, so I'm trying to get to 1415 before I start. Then I probably just save because the price of mats will always go down,
Yeah,
and if you can sell something for a lot right now, I would do that. Um, well, no, I guess it just. I mean, it depends on how you want to play. If you want to get to the current content, you have to spend your gold, your resources. But if you not care about that, then you should save. I mean, but then you're just gonna keep saving for what, right? Because then you don't have fun. So
exactly.
I'm not sitting at our 18K, um, and that's after. And I'm thinking about buying mats, but I'm probably just gonna slow build it to 15, 14, 15 because I don't really need to right now because we don't even know when it's coming
Yeah, we don't
out.
even have a release date for Vulcan. Yeah,
So I'm just slowly doing it. If I need to buy some mats just to, how you rage spend.
yeah.
If you fail a thing, you're like, ah,
Oh yeah,
whatever, try it one more time,
rage
and then
honing. Yeah,
rage honing. Yeah, I do that sometimes. So that's a lot of where my gold goes. I think getting to 1400 is the checkpoint,
hmm,
and then I know a lot of people are just stopping at 1400
yeah.
for some reason, but because there's no Vaulton rate yet. But I mean, depends on how much Southburn gives, right?
My
If they give
understanding
you a
is
lot,
Southfern gives a lot of mats. That's what I've heard. Yeah.
so I would save gold right now and then see when the new area releases and see what you get from it, and then decide if you want to spend or
Yeah,
not.
that's my feeling. I think the way to go right now is to try and save kind of whatever you can. Don't really go with a ton of heavy spending until kind of the new patch comes out and we can see kind of where we're at. I do think my personal
Okay.
opinion is that long term, the best thing that you could probably buy right now is something like
Skins.
a legendary engraving that you're going to use on a bunch of different classes. Getting that like legendary grudge or legendary cursed doll or adrenaline or something like that, something that you're going to use a bunch is such a good investment because it's something that you will always use and always need forever. I mean, so
Hmm.
many things like gear will just get replaced over time, but a legendary engraving is something that will just be there for forever. But I got to tell you, Legendary Grudge right now is like over 200,000 gold.
Oh,
So
really?
I don't know that that's viable, but I think probably as we get closer to Vaulton, it might be worth trying to go for 4 level 3 engravings. But I think that's like if you're going for hard mode, you might need that. But I'm hoping that 3 level 3 engravings will be enough to do normal Vaulton. So I guess it's like whatever you're trying to push towards too is kind of how you should be gearing your character.
It's very easy to hit 3 level 3s,
Yeah,
in my opinion. It's very easy. So don't think it's too much.
cool. All right. Well, is there anything else that you wanted to talk about on this week's episode, or should we just look forward to the Glavier patch this Thursday
Yeah,
and
I
talk
am
after
looking
that?
forward to it. I will use, if they give it to us, which I believe they will, the Fate and Power Pass. I will use it on Glavier and try it out.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna do
Um,
the same.
cause on my Sork, I'm running through. I have to run through Yorn. I'm like, I just don't want to log in and do that. And then Phaeton after that. It's just you can't even skip it because I already used it skips on Paladin.
Well, they did say that you can use the Fate and Power Pass on any character, so you could
Yeah, but
jump your Sorceress up there too if you wanted instead.
I'd rather use it on a new character. I think
Yeah.
that just skips all this tier 1.
I might even skip Glavier and actually just do a Power Pass on a Scrapper. I don't know. I'm thinking about it. We'll see.
Maybe.
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for this week then. Big patch coming up Thursday. I'm sure we will have tons to talk about 2 weeks from now, and yeah, pretty exciting stuff coming up in the world of Lost Ark. So I'm pretty optimistic for it. Okay, so again, my name is Cyrus here. You can catch me out on Twitch at Cyrus the Great 99. And also catch us out on YouTube. Cyrus the Great is the YouTube handle here where this and all of the episodes will be. Also, all of the episodes are available on Spotify and basically everywhere podcasts are available except Apple currently, but that's because of a problem that Apple is having with some stuff related to it's a mess over there still. And yeah, so catch us out there too. And then Kioma, do you want to go ahead and just pitch your Twitch real quick? I saw you streaming some War of the Visions the other day
Sure.
too.
I was streaming War of the Visions at CoreU87. I do stream mostly War of the Visions. I will stream Ultimate when that releases. I think it releases next week.
Yeah.
Which is exciting. I'm excited. I've finally joined a group for it, so I'm excited.
Cool.
But yeah, you catch me from time to time. I stream. I don't have a stream schedule. I just hop on whenever I feel like it. So
yeah, we'll both probably stream the Legion raids too when they come out in Lost Ark, I imagine, because we're both just like super looking forward to that sort of content in the game too. So cool.
Yes.
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode of Lost Arguments, and we'll catch you guys next time. Thank you, and have a good one.
Thanks for listening.
All right. See you.